Hi everybody, how you doing tonight? Hi, I know he just introduced me, but I had planned to introduce myself, and I'm sorry, I get stuck on things. I'm Corey Cochran of That Which Is Media. This is Katie Archbold, who is the artist on those Devil's Ducks. And I'm kind of a storyteller, so I'm just going to kind of go through how this game came into existence. How many of you are familiar with the event Ludum Dare? Okay, so for those of you who aren't, it's a game jam. It's an online game jam. Primarily, it's a 48-hour competition. It's a place where basically you make a game from scratch in a very short amount of time. 48 hours if you do the jam, 72. But it's kind of traditional, I think, in Ludum Dares and people who participate in Ludum Dares that everyone hates the theme. So this one, the theme was you only get one, and the theme came out. I was busy that weekend. I wasn't even going to make a game, and I hated it. But my wife suggested a game. She suggested a game about, well, if you only get one, make it about cats trying to get your food, and you have to make sure that cats only get one piece of food each. You got to be fair to them. Which reminded me of, how many of you recognize this game? Do you know the name of it? There we go. It made me think of No Luca No, which is available on Xbox Live Indie Games from Silver Flame Apps. It's a game you can see. It's literally this. This is the game. The cat comes to get your food. You push the cat away. If the cat gets your food, you lose. Much like you see in the picture right here. So I felt like cats had kind of been done. But I do like ducks. And in my life, feeding ducks has always been a wonderful experience. I love going out. I love sitting. I wasn't going to tangent too much on this, but did you guys know bread's actually bad for ducks?
Why?
See? Yeah, see? There we go. It's a learning experience. Still see? But, it's not going to kill them. Like, they'll live, but I hear it's like the McDonald's for ducks. Like, over time, they shouldn't be eating a whole lot of it. Like, every once in a while, it's okay. But especially at the park near where I live, they were getting way too much. So, I entered a game into Ludum Dare 28, the competition, and, I should have given a disclaimer. I've tried to scrub as much as possible. I know the first game gave a disclaimer, but this is A-Hole Ducks, the original description being a soothing game about feeding ducks, except you hate some of them arbitrarily, and if they take more than one food while there are still starving ducks out there, you probably hate them too, maybe. You only get one, ducks! Also, there's a scoreboard. Chrome recommended, Mother approved, NSFW language, actually plays pretty decently on Safari on an iPhone 5S, but not on my desktop, lol. So take it with you to the turlet and play while you poop. Or don't. Or do, please don't tell us about it. Or do, don't. And I had a very basic tutorial. I picked arbitrarily colors. I'm like, okay, so once you feed a duck, it'll be fed, and you'll be able to tell which ones to feed and not to feed. And I had bricks of text because I didn't feel like building a tutorial. I still don't like building tutorials. I really try to let people figure out how to play. I understand that can be frustrating sometimes, but I really love it when people power through and have that moment when they realize how games are played. But here I did it in text because it was 48 hours and whatever. I also wanted to point out the art style for the game. I do intentionally sometimes kind of link back to my older games, and the art style on this one, I wanted for the character to be ambiguous so people could identify with them, and this was much like a family member from an older game I had made called Simon and Danae I Worry, which was for Molly Jam 2013, and it was actually about kind of an older woman contemplating her life. I consider it a woman. It's gender ambiguous. It could be a man, but who has a deceased husband and children that she's worried about. And so I wanted to bring that same kind of contemplation to the game, although it doesn't play like that at all. So, I don't know. That was a tangent. Hi, how you doing? So this is the game. This is how it plays. This is you. Originally you clicked on yourself and pulled back. It kind of has an Angry Birds-like launch mechanic insofar as when you let go, it shoots things. But the rest of the gameplay is absolutely nothing like Angry Birds because there are no physics. It's just feeding ducks or not feeding ducks. And it actually went over pretty well with people in certain regards. It got 43rd place in humor out of more than 1,800 entries, which was 9 places higher in humor than my 2-jam previous game, One Life, which is a game about suicide. I didn't even intend for that one to be funny. I don't know how that happened, but if people liked it, especially if they were suicidal, I hope they're good. The second highest rating was in audio. People went nuts for the music, and I was like, oh, thank you, that's awesome. I got mostly positive feedback. I got some random reviews online. I hope you don't mind. I kind of intended to read one. I won't if we take a vote. Should I? Okay, I got a couple thumbs up back there. I love this take on the theme, you only get one. Gameplay has the feel of an Atari 2600 game, although the graphics are not done in that style. In the early 80s, game designers took a lot of inspiration from everyday life and would take demented inspiration from seemingly mundane activities such as crossing the street or sorting baggage. A-Hole Ducks fits right into this type of game concept. You're feeding ducks, and to make it fun, you've made a little game out of it, the goal being to feed each duck exactly one piece of bread. But of course, once a duck gets a taste for bread, it turns into a jerk and tries to eat all of it. It's hilarious how well this reflects real-life duck behavior. This was important to me. Despite it being a bit of a one-trick pony, I'm also okay with that, I get it. It's quite fun to play and pretty difficult. Graphics and sound are crude, but not essential to the success of the game, which is all about gameplay, humor, and that slice of life that is familiar to anyone who's ever been to the park. I hope some of you have been. It's a really nice way to spend an afternoon. So I decided, based on feedback, based on people talking to me about the game, I think Patrick, who was just up here presenting, said his wife really enjoyed it. So I decided to kind of take it and make it for mobile, and originally it was built in Construct 2 and HTML5. I didn't want to use something that would just wrap it, because HTML5 games, from what I've seen on mobile devices that aren't running natively, slow down a little. So I started moving it into the Corona SDK, and of course you run into fun tech demos where you just start making lots of ducks happen. And I had some ideas for the game and for a narrative I liked for the game. And I never spell out that narrative, but there is a narrative to the play section if you guys get over there and play it tonight. You can make up your own narrative. I would actually love that. But I explained a lot of what I was thinking to two people at Sleeping Moon, and one of them sent me, without request, I didn't even talk to her about doing graphics for the game, she mails me this picture. And if she wants to talk a little bit about graphical styling for the game for a minute, this is Katie.
Hi everyone. Okay, so
yay!
So Corey was talking to me at a coffee shop a few months ago, and he showed me the game that he made for Ludum Dare, and he mentioned that he wanted to have like a sort of painterly style to it, and I could see it in some of the textures that he used, but for some reason, like impressionist paintings and feeding ducks and games about feeding ducks, they went together so well, and I was like, I gotta do this. So like without any thought, I just like, I'm gonna wing it, and I made this picture for him, and I said, if you want to make art for a game together, let's make a game together, and then we did.
It's 15 minutes until the library doesn't close for us. Sorry. I feel special. Thanks. So I began implementing Katie's artwork, and there was something else I was going to say here. It's gone. But we also started layering in new visual elements. You can see maybe the canvas difference in here. If you notice the black bars at the top of this one, it's because I consciously decided to aspect ratio lock the game. I wanted for everybody to have the same experience. I didn't like the way Corona stretched textures and stuff like that. I love this shot. This is probably my favorite picture ever, which is the original running in Safari on my phone in the task manager right next to some of the new graphics. We also decided to start layering in some new gameplay elements. I challenge any of you to get to 80 ducks tonight in play mode and start seeing some of the fun new stuff. There's explosions. And it's got features. I see it's hard to talk about because I hate giving things away. And there's a high bar for entry, but I hope some of you enjoy it. And it's definitely still pre-alpha, by the way. So there are bugs. You can help me find them. Tell me about them. Please don't be angry. And it's okay, be a little angry. But there are 3 ways to play. There's the main game mode, which is always unlocked, and this is what I consider to be the story. I also really wanted for people to, if they wanted to, just be able to bust this game out and be feeding ducks in the middle of a busy day. If you want to relax, if you're playing another game, there's another game I was playing recently that got me super stressed, and I turned around and just started playing ducks to relax. So I put in a no-fail mode where you can just feed ducks all day long, and that builds toward an infinite, or all-time high score for you in ducks fed in Game Center. I'm still working on Google Play integration. And the third one is a work in progress. It's not available tonight, but it's actually based on some things that you might see if you get far enough. I love the idea of creation as a theme and mechanic, so the painted world actually paints in as you play. And I also just recently wrote an experimental procedural music generation tool for the game. So it's like you're painting in an audio canvas while you're playing the game as well. At this time, are there any questions? And I'll put up social media stuff while we talk, if anybody has anything to ask. What's up?
So which platforms are you using for?
It's going to be for iOS and Google Play. I might expand out to other Android platforms, but specifically, it's primarily going to be iOS. That's the one I've been aiming at. I have an Android device over there running it right now. And also the one running on the big TV back there is Android, but it's one of the original Galaxy tabs. There are some texture size issues. I had to force it to accept 2048 textures because that's what I built everything in. And so it runs a little slower on the older device. But the newer devices, I was really surprised and happy that Android was up and running without much messing around. I got, okay, here.
If you haven't already, are you planning like a post impression soundtrack to meet or inspired soundtrack like Lucy or T or something in that vein?
It's something I'm still thinking about. The soundtrack right now, I'm kind of, I hope people give me a little bit maybe feedback. I don't know, that's asking for a lot now. I'm like, oh, I'm going to hear about all of it. But no, what's happening right now is I have some sounds in there. And the way I have it built, it works much like a beat synthesizer, where basically as you feed ducks, you create the beat and the melody. There's a certain set of notes. At this point, it doesn't reset when you reset the level, but it does reset when you set the game. It generates a different note map. So it's pretty light though. I've been thinking about making it a little lighter to match. But again, since the tone of the game kind of shifts as you move on, I wanted it to try and reflect the whole game and not just a segment. What's up?
I was just curious, which game engine, if any, did you use to develop the game? I'm sorry if you already mentioned this detail.
No, you're fine. I actually used the Corona SDK. So, and that's a Lua-based. You seem to recognize it, but I'll talk about it for anyone else who's interested. It's a Lua-based. An SDK isn't quite an engine. It has a simulator, but it's not like say it's fully fleshed out. It's very programmatically based, without a lot of pop-in visual editing components. Basically, you write everything in code, and that's why it was really awesome having graphics from Katie to integrate and work from. Oh.
Bread is bad for ducks. What's good?
See, I was semi-ready for this question. I've tried berries. I hear certain types of berries are good for them. There are also nuts, but I will say my fiance and I once tried, because we stopped by a feed store to pick up different types of bird feed, and there are certain types of bird feed that they hate. So I can look up some sites and get them for you. But definitely there are some different types of berries that they prefer, and yeah. That was some very minorly educational. You didn't really learn anything. Anything else? Okay, I was also going to mention real quick before I hand it back over, I do have another game available back there. If anyone, say, has an Xbox or an Ouya controller in their car that they want to bring in, right now, only the shark and the potato are playable in Time to Die. The bear is just a sitting duck. You can murder him. This is a fighting game you guys can play if you want, which is I'm going to be working on as an upcoming project, fleshing that out a little more. And also, there's a very experimental, I'm going to keep this one just on my phone, and if anyone wants to play a game that is silly and out there and barely a game, you can play The Point, which I already have submitted for review. So, thank you very much.
All right. Okay, cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the evening. Just to let you know, all the games that you saw presented tonight, you're going to get a chance to play. So we have select games is over here in the back of the room. To the next to them, we have the Flamey Birds game, and then those Devil's Ducks will be on the giant media wall in the back. One final note, we are going to have an event in October. We're currently working on our show for October. There's a large tech event that's going to happen that first week of October, so we're kind of working out the details on that. Stay tuned, check out our Facebook page, our social media, Twitter and everything, meet up for details on that. And more than likely that's going to be on October 3rd, so just want to let you guys know. Thank you all for coming out. Hope you enjoyed it. Go play some games. Thank you.